if you can explain to a consumer, I am doing this for you. I am selecting it. I am finding it. I am sourcing it. I am pricing it. I am checking on it. I am receiving it. I am packaging up for you. All the people are doing it on my behalf, but I'm managing that. And then, you're not going to get it for the same price as you could get it online. Sorry, go get it online.
Hey y'all, you're listening to the McClain Method Podcast, episode number 70. Welcome to the McClain Method, the podcast for interior designers who are ready to stop hiding and start shining. I'm your host, John McClain, designer, business mentor, author, and your branding bestie. This is not about paint colors or pendant lighting. It's about building a business that's both visible and profitable, inside and out. From marketing and messaging to mindset, systems, and visibility, we cover the front stage and the backstage of your design business, because your brilliance deserves the spotlight, and your business deserves to run like a dream behind the scenes. So if you're ready to be seen, get recognized, and get booked, it's time to let it shine. Welcome to the McClain Method. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the McClain Method Podcast. I'm your host, John McClain, and very happy to have you here. This episode is going to be a continuation of my conversation with the one and only LuAnn Nigara. We started last week and had lots of great information about how LuAnn began her business, some of the ups and downs that she experienced along the way, and how she ultimately has become a leader in our own industry. And there's so many things that you can take away from that conversation to apply to your own business. So if you have not listened to part one of my conversation, go back and listen to episode 69, where LuAnn and I really talked about her own personal journey. But today, as I said, we're back with part two of my convo with LuAnn, and this time we're getting into the real business of interior design. And in this episode, LuAnn and I dive into the mindset, pricing, and even branding strategies that will separate the profitable designers from the ones who still might be playing small. Is that you? We will also talk about why so many designers struggle to brand themselves, and also how LuAnn built a brand around being unapologetically herself. We're going to discuss the role of professional guidance and how not knowing everything is actually a power move. Then we're going to talk about the real reason why you're scared to talk about money and how that can shift today. LuAnn talks about what she calls batting practice and why that is the secret weapon to confident pricing, even if you don't have real clients yet. This is a great convo that we have about getting yourself prepared to work with clients, even if you don't have that ideal client on the books right now. We will also discuss how to handle client objections before they even happen. And yes, we butt heads, but in the very best way, about markup, pricing formulas, and how designers should charge for product. I think you'll enjoy our little bit of back and forth on the perspectives that we both have for making profit from your product. So again, just like the last one, this one is packed with honesty, a little bit of tough love, and the kind of clarity that will move your business forward. Alrighty, are you ready? Let's dive into part two of my conversation with LuAnn Nigara. But what you've done with your name, well, first of all, it was a well-designed business. Now it's more so LuAnn Nigara. You're a brand, and whether you accept that or not, Lou, you're a brand. So congratulations.
Thank you.
No, it's a wonderful accomplishment, seriously. And I think that many designers have a hard time in branding themselves, and they really just see something and they want to replicate what another designer did. And I always say, if you're scrolling and you look like everybody else on the scroll, no one's going to stop. And that's just exactly how it's going to be in any type of business. When you were thinking about branding yourself, okay, you had your niche, right? You knew you wanted to cater to interior designers. You saw a need there. What other ways did you say, oh, I'm going to brand myself? Because I just find that is such a deficit in the design world for designers not having something specialized to them. So what tips do you have for people? How did you do it? And what tips do you have for people to brand themselves?
So there's two very specific things in my mind when you say how and what tips. Number one, and I'm going to say it, you must be you, period. Like, you must be you. I've had people say to me, you're too extra for me. Your energy's too big. You're too loud. You can tell they're just like, Hi, how are you? Oh my God, LuAnn, I listen to your podcast. Great. Are you making money? That's usually my first question after how are you and thank you for listening. Are you making money? Because don't tell me you love my show and you're not making changes to make money. You know what I'm saying? Like, because no, I don't have patience for that conversation. I'm not interested in somebody who just shows up, listens, thinks I'm great, but goes back to not making money.
Yeah.
So it's like my first real tip is whoever you are, be you. Just do it. And the people who like it will like it, and the people who don't, whatever. And then the second tip is professional guidance. Nicole Heimer has guided me through this from day one. Literally. Nope, we got to make it like this. Nope, I think you should that. And I'll be like, really? She has guided me in it. So you cannot know everything. You should not know everything. Don't even put that expectation on yourself. Go find the person that you know is good at it and attach yourself. Get an expert that helps you do what you do better. I
Mm,
never could have done it without Nicole Heimer. Not a chance. When I first started the podcast, there was another company that was doing our website and what little social media there was in 2017 or whatever, 2016, and amazing people, amazing, heartfelt people were very into what I was trying to do and very supportive and saw the thing, but literally didn't say, no, not that, this.
mm.
Like if I said, oh, should we do it like that? Yeah, okay. Well, what do I know from this? You know what I'm saying? Like, what do I know? It's like if you go to a client's house and they're like, "I want my bedroom to look like a hotel. Should I have it like this?" And you go, "Okay." You don't do that. You're like, "No, we should have this. We should do that. We should blah blah blah." Like you come in with your ideas. And so to me, I go to experts for everything I do. I went to expert audio production. I went to expert branding people, Nicole Heimer, and website development, everything I did. And, my job, your job as a designer is to show up as you and not hide it and not be less than. Like, like if I'm selling you something, if I have to go back, like Kimberly is on maternity leave now. So if I got to go and do a window treatment sale, you know what? Am I walking in as LuAnn Nigara Inc? Mm-mm. No, no, right? Like, no, I'm walking in like, hi, what can do you like the room dark? Do you like the room like,
Half an inch or an inch.
yeah, right? Like, I'm going to bring it down. But when
Yeah.
you are your own, like you're creating a brand, no, 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 no. We don't filter. We don't filter. We filter for kindness. We filter for respect, right? Like I can be as cruel and harsh, as crazy as any Jersey person can. That stays outside. That's inside voice, right?
Yeah.
Like that's nuts. But I'm still going to come whether I'm live on stage with you, whether I'm at a panel discussion with you, whether I'm in a podcast with you. You are getting like what I learned was the first year, the number of times I was in public at the different markets and people would spend time with me and they would be like, "Oh my God, you're exactly like you are on the show." I was like, "Yes, thank you. That is what you're supposed to do."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you have to have guidance. And then it gets tweaked with the guidance of an expert.
Yeah, Dolly Parton has a quote, and I love Dolly Parton, and
No,
she says, "Find out who you are and do it on purpose." And I'm like, that is words to live by because so many of us, again, want to emulate other people and act like other designers or act like other podcast hosts, and it'll get you nowhere. It'll
no.
just put you in the same sea of sameness, which
Yeah.
will you're never going to stand out. Do you find when people listen to the podcast or you mentioned like, okay, I want to know how much money you're making, I want to know, are you profitable, I want to know, are you taking these and implementing them? I feel like the society we're in is this kind of like, see it now, implement it 30 minutes later, or watch a TikTok reel or an Instagram reel and implement it. That annoys me to no end, how everybody wants it so quick and
Yeah.
so fast without all of the door knocking and the hard work that we put into this. So how do we educate people to say, yeah, here are the tips. Here is what we're giving you. Here's the platform, the steps, but you have to do that because implementation of those things is half the battle or
Yeah.
more.
Well, I think What I often find is if I'm talking with somebody and they're having difficulty in their business to be profitable, you can tell if somebody's doing it or not doing it. You can tell by the things. So you start to say, so what have you tried? What have you done? Oh, well, I thought about doing that, but that won't work for me. Oh, I thought about doing that and I tried that, but it didn't work. And I'll be like, well, how long did you give it a try? Oh, I did it 4 times. Oh, okay. Right. Okay. So, all right, fine. You are waiting for the world. You are waiting for the Instagram, TikTok world to just appear in front of
Yeah.
you. I say it on the show all the time. You're spending every day preparing to be lucky. It's exactly what you're doing. You're doing all of the work. And I use the analogy on the podcast all the time about major league sports players. Like my era, it was Derek Jeter. Now it's Aaron Judge, right? It's like Aaron Judge, he has one job. His job is to do home runs. That is what they hire him for. That's yes, he's going to play first base and he's going to do this and he's going to be the captain of the team. But I'm going to tell you, if Aaron Judge did not hit home runs, he's not playing first base and he's not captain of the team and he doesn't wear a Yankee uniform. That man is hired to hit that ball over the fence. Okay. But here's the thing. Aaron Judge doesn't show up 100 times a year on game day and go, hope today's the day I hit a home run. He swings that bat 50,000 times between the games and between the seasons. And he lifts weights and he eats well. So the moment he's at the plate, he has increased his chances within his own abilities to the maximum level of expectation that he's going to hit a home run because he's also going to strike out. But the thing is, he's got to walk away and look in the mirror and look at his coach and say, I did everything I could so that on this moment, on this at bat, I had the chance to hit a home run. And you know
Mm.
what? A lot of times in our business, like I just had a young designer that just finished her chairman of the board with me yesterday. And she's young. I love this kid. 8 months in business and she invested the 5 figures for chairman of the board. She's like, I want to start right. I want to do it right. Like my husband and I, we talked about it. We're investing no different than buying ovens if I was going to make pizzas, right? And I said to her, we're setting her up for next year. Like, what are you going to do next year? What's on your plate? How are you going to manage this? And she's still working on building her pipeline. And I said to her, I want you to stay in batting practice. I said,
Mm.
your biggest obstacle is going to be explaining your fees, why you're worth it, what they are, how people will pay them, and what you will deliver for your fees. Because that kind of practice is like real time. Like you get your knees knocked out from under you. The biggest mistake interior designers make is they underestimate how many hours it takes to do something. Oh, I could probably do that bathroom redesign in 7 hours. Really? On the 15th hour, tell me what's happening now. You're now working for 20 cents an hour. And I said to her, I said, so look around your house. I said, redesign your own powder room 5 times.
Yep.
Clock your hours. Redesign your living room, 15 different combinations. Clock your hours. Because I said, now, even though it's your third attempt to close a job, somebody says to you, how can it be 15 hours to design a bathroom? You're going to be like, believe me, I know it's 15 hours.
That is some of the best advice, and I do the same. I'm like, "Oh, you don't have a project? Create a project. Create a renovation. Do the CAD plans, do the selections, do the reselections, do the iffy client, like, play that role, and then you're going to know because there's no need in sitting around with your hands crossed waiting for someone to knock on the door when you could be doing the groundwork to get that done, and I think that so many times we just think like, "Oh, we have to have this paying client to do that." You really don't. That's what we did in design school. We had these fake projects that we were working on. Create your own now.
Yeah.
Or even if you want to branch out into a different part, let's say you want to cater to real estate agents in some capacity, practice whatever this new thing is you want to bring into your business. Practice it in the peacefulness of your own home without someone looking over your shoulder, but also act as if there is a client on the other side to say, oh, I hate that. Oh, let's change that. Oh, that's perfect, because it will happen. And then it gives you that credibility. Also, I always try to have like a list of objections in the back of my mind when I'm speaking with clients.
Yep.
And so if you had kind of make up these objections ahead of time, you can have that in the recesses of your mind to say, Oh, I know how to answer that question because
Right.
my fake client has already asked me that question.
Exactly. Right, well, the thing is, look, I know, John, you know it from your own personal experience, and you know it from all the designers that you coach now. You know there's a moment in your business where you will not accept less
Yeah,
because you've done that bathroom design 15 times. It might have taken you 5 years of your business to get 15 bathroom projects done, or that living room design. You've done it enough to know that when you tell somebody, "Oh, my flat fee for doing a bathroom is $6,500, and what's that based on?" "Well, it's based on 15 hours." And of course, I'm making up numbers. And it's like when somebody says, "Oh my god, how could it take you 15 hours to do a bathroom?" When you've done 15 bathrooms and you know that's the hours, you're just like, "Sweetie, that's how long it takes to do a bathroom.
yep,
Don't debate me, unless you know how to do it." But the thing is, it's that moment when you've done it so many times that you will not give away your value because you know it intrinsically.
yeah,
And alls I'm saying, if you are not busy, then you only practice by having a real client, then you only put the bat in your hand when you're at home plate during a game.
mhm,
It's go figure out. Go do it 15 times. So even if it's the first customer you present it to, you're just like, that's what it is.
yeah,
That's how much it costs. Like, you don't have to do it. You can find somebody. I always tell somebody, keep calling. Oh, I think somebody will do it less expensive. No, no, no. I'm sure somebody will.
of
You
course.
just, everybody you call will lower the price to beat the guy before you. But when they all do a crappy job, you call me back and you're ready to
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah, and you have those deliverables in place. I'm going to provide you with this, this, and this because I've done this before. I
That's
know
right.
exactly what you're going to need. I know exactly what this room is going to need. Probably how many times you're going to say, "Oh, I hate that," or "I like that," right? So, and then you're going to go back to choice number 1, which is always the case. But no, I think, just like when you say, "I wanted to write my book," and I had that as part of the process, it adds a credibility to your business when you have these other things to sort of support you, right? And so
Mhm.
many designers don't really feel confident in themselves and in their abilities because they don't have these other ways to say, yes, I've done this. Yes, I know this is the right answer. Yes, this is the best solution for this problem, because they don't have that sort of backing to lift them up
Right.
with that. I think that I encourage designers to join organizations, IDS, ASID, like all these things, because you never know what client's going to look at you and say, "Oh, look, they're a member of that organization, and I just happened to see someone speaking about that. Now I trust them more," right? So all these things just build you up to this certain level of credibility with your clients, and then you can rattle off and you can say confidently, "That's going to be $75,000 for your bathroom." $75,000 for, yes, because this is,
Yes.
in my experience, this is what's happened in these situations. And
Oh,
it doesn't happen, like as you said, overnight. It does not. It's always a growing. I was anybody with a checkbook and a pulse, of course, was my first client, right? We all have that. That's
right.
okay.
I
But
think
at some point, like you said, there has to be that cutoff to where you're like, no, I
right.
will not stand for anything less than this price. I have value and I'm bringing that to you, and you're either going to appreciate it or you're going to move on to someone else and find out why I was really so good at what I'm doing. Now, I want to ask you, I know we're running over time here, but you give, Lou, on your podcast and in all of your speaking engagements and all the things that I see you do. You're always giving to people. And I know we all appreciate that. And so I just want to say thank you for that, first of all. But what's your currency? Like, what is the value exchange for you? What is important for you to get back from all of this? You've built a great company, you've built a great brand, you've built a great business, but what's the currency exchange for you when it comes to all that you're giving to the design community? What do you value in that exchange?
I mean, I cannot express the satisfaction, the pride, the joy that it gives me when somebody tells me about the transformation in their business from before they were running their business and their business was running them to them being the CEO of their business. I have had so many designers come up to me and say, "You know what? Somebody just it was just an Instagram, I think, yesterday or today. Somebody was just like literally on the post saying, Everything I know about running my business, I learned from you and all the people that I introduce and intersect them with, like yourself and Nicole and Sandra and Nancy Ganzgover and all the people, Rick and everybody, right? And it's like, it's my greatest joy. I love connecting. Like, if you have a need, oh, I got to find somebody to help you get that need. If
Yeah.
I'm the answer to that need, great. But if I'm not like, well, that's not my lane. I'm like, no, 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 let me find somebody in that lane for you, whether I bring them on the show. I have taken people at markets at different things. And they're saying to me, oh, I really have a struggle with this. And I'm like, oh my God, Nicole Heimer standing right over there. Let's go get her. Let's bring her over here, you know? And so when I have the opportunity to understand and learn firsthand from somebody that they have taken the information that I have gathered and collated through all of these brilliant minds in this industry. They have taken an action on it and they get a result that has impacted their life and their business. I'm just like, yeah, I could do this all day long every day. Like,
Yeah.
it's just amazing.
Yeah, I kind of thought that's what you were going to say. And I know that much about you. It's always good to ask someone, what can we give you? What can we help you with? Because you do give so much. And I know that it's inside of you. And I know that it's truly a part of who you are. But also, I think it comes from this inquisitive mind that you have, because the questions that you're asking are not as if an interior designer is asking another interior designer that question. It's someone saying, I have great business knowledge, but tell me how you do that process and tell me why that works or why that doesn't work.
Right.
And I think in the midst of that, you're just uncovering little nuggets of information that you're having aha moments. And
Yes.
then other people are like, oh my God, like LuAnn asked a question that I've always been embarrassed to ask, right?
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
I think there is great value in your podcast and your conversations with designers because you've been there boots on the ground and you're
Yeah.
like, girl, like I get it. Right.
Yeah.
And there's no question. But I think the layer that I bring is if you can't make me understand it, and I've had 1,400 conversations about this industry, then I got news for you. Your garden variety human that you're pitching that $300,000 project to can't understand it either, because I not only understand business, but I kind of understand this industry. And, I can't tell you how many times like somebody will say something to me either on the show, I'll be like, wait, what? Like, how does that like work? And it's really because I don't get it. And then I'm like, oh, you mean this? And they're like, yeah, that's what I meant. Okay, well, then say it that way next time. Right. Or like my designers that I coach and chairman of the board, they know if they listen to this, they're laughing because I'm like, I don't understand. I explained it all in an email. It's completely clear and it references my contract. And I've just said, this is how it's going to be. And I don't know why they still want to know this thing. And I'll be like, well, what did the email say? And I'll be like, my brain hurts reading that. I'm like, no, 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 that my brain hurts.
Yeah. Can a caveman understand it? If not,
Right.
then don't write
I mean,
it.
it's complicated enough interior design.
Yeah.
Everybody has a different model. Everybody has a different pricing structure. 3/4 of the humans on the planet have never done a design project before. So you come at it with all this like, well, and if I jump sideways and I sit left and right and beat it out and it's in my contract, whatever. Like I tell my designers I speak to, if you ever have to say the word to me, it's in your contract and I'm your client, we have a lot more problems than you actually think. Because your contract, you should never have to say those. That's the first indication that there's a problem.
Yeah.
Like, if you got to
Yeah.
remind somebody 6 months in that it's in the contract, what have you been telling them all along?
I think we shy away from just speaking the truth and just
Yes.
being honest about things. And it's so easy to do in the beginning when you're just with that person and they're all excited about the project. That's when you lay down the law and that's when you say, here's this, here's this, here's that. And then you just remind them of these certain milestones in your weekly updates. It's very simple if we just don't overthink it and over
Right.
worry about what their response is going to be. But you kind of hit on something there that I think is a little bit prevalent in our industry, which is there's so much information out there that everybody's a quote expert on everything. What do you think is a bad piece of advice that designers might be following right now that maybe you're like, oh, I've heard this so many times. Like, please stop doing X because it is obviously not working.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of people out there just shooting things off the hip without thinking
Yeah.
about the effect that it's going to have. And I know there's a lot of bad advice out there, but anything that comes to mind for you?
Well, it's very controversial, and part of me is like, just keep your mouth shut.
No, say it.
I would have a healthy debate with anybody who feels that they have a very good process for it and they could defend their position. I would have a respectful, healthy debate with somebody. I totally would.
I
But
know
I've
what
yet
you're
to
going to
have it. I've yet to have it, by the
I
way,
know what you're going to say.
is not making markup on
Yes.
product. It's categorically illogical. And I know that there are very successful designers out there that have built business models on, design fees and no markup and, splitting markup and all the different models. But I don't agree with it. That's it. It's a business, like when you spend $25 for a pizza, it did not cost that guy $22 to make the pizza. It didn't. It just didn't. It probably cost him about $4. You know what I mean? And you're not standing there screaming, going, I know you got that for $4, right? Because that is commerce. We People buy things at wholesale and they sell them at retail. That's how it works in all the other industries. But somehow, some way, the design industry decided, no, 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 no. Let me be your personal shopper. Let me go out and buy everything and let me just give it to you for like $1.50 extra. Like, no, ma'am. No, sir. I'm not on board with it.
No, I knew you were going to
You
say that
did?
because you and I had this debate when I was on your podcast as well about that very thing. While I agree with you totally on that, about you definitely should make a profit off of it for sure, I also want to have that formula to show if I ever need to. That is just where I come from, and we're probably going to butt heads like two goats on the mountain. But I just know for me, I don't feel our industry is there yet to say, we're going to charge this and this is what it's going to be and that's it. When I say know how you came up with that number, it doesn't mean you have to tell your client on every invoice, but
Right.
my thought process is have a way to show the calculation if that ever comes up, or have a way just to have that in your back pocket
Mhm.
rather than, you don't put it on your website.
Right.
You don't even have to put it necessarily anywhere written, but you should have a process for coming up with that number
Well,
in
and
my
here's
head.
the thing. My feeling on it is this, is that on one hand, the industry is running around with their pants on fire, screaming about my client wants to shop me. My client wants to,
Yeah.
substitute this lamp for that lamp because they found it less expensive online. Right. But like when we lead the conversation with, I'm not going to charge you the fair retail price. If we lead the conversation with, part of what you get with working with me is you get product at a discount. Well, then how do you then get pissy when the person wants to save another $10 on it? I mean, you've framed the conversation around how much money they're going to save on products by working with you. And my
Yes.
thing is have at it. You know what? If everybody wants to decide we're all this is the way it is, then stop complaining about the people who want a better price. Just pick a lane, because you know what? The rest of the world has businesses where it's not debatable. We don't walk into Cap Grill and go, how much did that filet actually cost you? How much did that bottle of wine cost you? I mean, you know what? My son in law was in the bar industry for many years, a professional bartender, right? And at one time he told me that a restaurant will price a glass of wine. Now, this is, I'm sure, the higher you go, luxury, the less this is true. But like you walk into like a Fridays or something, right? And if the glass of wine is $9, that's what the bottle costs them. So you
Mm,
can buy the glass for 9 or you can buy the bottle for 35, right? But like a lower end restaurant is going to charge the 9 because how many people are drinking a Pinot Noir at Fridays? They're making the money on the bottle, whether there's a
yeah.
couple. I can't tell you the number of times I go into our Fridays and I get a glass of Pinot Noir. I'm like, okay, this has been sitting here since I was here last week. Please get me another bottle, right? Because it's not exactly running off the shelves at Fridays, right? And
Right.
so the thing is, it's like, even now knowing that, when I get a glass of wine, I'm like, "Oh, great. I'm paying for the whole." But you know what? Somebody opened it for me. Somebody poured it for me. Somebody asked how I was doing when they gave me the wine. They asked me, did I want more chips? I can go to Bottle King and buy the damn bottle for $13. Like, but I didn't want to. I wanted
Yeah.
the experience.
Yeah, but
So
also too, you have to have the stuff to back that up. I think if you're charging this for something, then you need to have systems in place. You need to have team members to help, track those orders. You need to make sure that they're right.
right.
Like, what is that? You can't just say, I'm going to order all of your products and then not have a plan in place for
Right.
that, not have a system in mind, a workflow at least.
And the better you do it,
Yeah.
words, I will pay $35 for the $10 glass bottle of wine that I could go get the Bottle King for $15 and
Yeah.
$9 for the glass, right? Because what I just said, you're gonna open it, you're gonna talk to me, you're gonna schmooze me.
Yeah.
If you tried to charge me $35 for the bottle of wine that I could get at Bottle King for 15 and you just put it, I don't know, on the curb when I walked in the restaurant. So
Yeah.
that is your exact thing. It's like if you can explain to a consumer, I am doing this for you. I am selecting it. I am finding it. I am sourcing it. I am pricing it. I am checking on it. I am receiving it. I am packaging up with for you. All the people are doing it on my behalf, but I'm managing that. Then, yeah, you're
Yeah.
not going to get it for the same price as you could get it online.
Yeah.
Sorry, go get it online.
Yes.
All the things, but I'm giving you the value with it. And so that's the part that makes me crazy. It's
Me
like,
too.
please don't give the value and still the discount. Crazy.
Well, and two, if you sit down, what I did was just sit down and write all the things that we did. Come up like
Right.
it's so simple, like just bullet point it out, and you're like, "Holy crap! Like, look at all this stuff that we do. Like, this is insane." And we're not even we didn't even know all that we did because
Mm,
we didn't take the time to write it down. And number two, the client's never going to know because
no.
we haven't told them what they're getting for this. So
Right.
I think if you again, you just have that foundation to back it up, and you can say, "Yeah, here are your deliverables. Here's what I'm giving you for that. That's why this is this." And then the client's like, oh, fantastic. I don't want
Yeah.
to have a 18 wheeler pull up to my house and I
Mm,
don't want to inspect something within 48 hours and return it. Like nobody wants that in a
right.
high end design, right?
Right. It's like
Yeah.
it's know what you deliver. Like,
Yeah.
there's some wines that make you crazy, right? When like you're at a mid-level restaurant and you see like, I don't know, Mark West, and you see that bottle of Pinot Noir for like 28 bucks. And then all of a sudden you walk in Cap Grill and the Mark West is $48. And you're like, it's the same damn Mark West. But it's not getting to me the same way. That experience isn't the same way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
way a Cap Grill waits on my table and checks on me and the environment and the ambiance, it's all different. And yeah, I'm paying, that's the point. There's the commodity in there, but I'm paying for the service wrapped around it.
Yeah.
And that's the same point with, the darn table in the dining room. You can get it for $8,000 on the internet or you can get it for 14,000 from me. What am I going to tell you? You're going to
Yeah.
do all the things yourself.
Well, also what I enforce is having barriers to entry. So I'm not going to purchase that for you unless you hit this certain amount or unless you do this. This is what I need from you so that I can take care of this for you. So
Yeah.
if they're like, "Yeah, I want to buy this table on my own and I want to remove that from the plan." It's like, "Okay, well you still have to hit $100,000 minimum with me. So what are we going to replace that with?" So for
Yeah.
me, if that give and take exchange happens, I'm like, okay, you buy that. We're going
Right.
to find out some other way to make profit for that division of my company. And I think that's really critical too, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But this
Yeah.
is
The
a whole
profit.
slippery slope.
Yeah. But the profitability has to be accounted for, right? Like you have to have the different revenue streams within the project, right?
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. And then even me, I've restructured mine to where I think I've mentioned to you before. I have a creative fee, and then I have the product fee that we make, the profit margin we make off of products, and then I have my project fulfillment. So for me, if
Yep.
they stop after creative, I'm like, all right, see you later. That's
Goodbye.
great. Love
Right.
you. Love you. Here's how that's going to go. Or if you move on, then that's just extra profit for
I
my
love
business.
that. I do love that model. I do love the separating out the creative fee, the design fees, and like, of course, you want people to go through all the steps with you. But if they don't, you break up, then it's fine.
Yes.
And having the very clear conversations at the beginning. If somebody doesn't like that you're going to charge markup, then they need to know that then, and you need to say then we're not the place for you. You
Yes.
know what I mean? Funny
Yeah.
because I was just last week, I went to Chicago and I did a sales training for a team of 13 salespeople. And I was there for a day and a half. And I was trying to explain to them that it's very important to ballpark what a consumer can expect to spend. So
Mhm.
we're always saying in this industry, I asked them their budget and they didn't know. Well, I'm going to tell you, you ever ask me what my budget is? I'm going to say, I don't know either. No way.
Yeah.
I'm not telling
No.
you. This is your job to this out, right?
Yeah.
And, but the same time, as professionals, we don't want to either specify $40,000 worth of window treatments if you have a $10,000 budget or $200,000 worth of furniture if you have a $50,000 budget. And so The thing is, it's up to us as the professional to put a parameter around what the budget could expect to be based on, a 20-minute give and take on the conversation. And if you can't ballpark that in 25 or 30 minutes of figuring out what your client wants, then you are doing your batting practice at home plate in a live game. Okay.
Mhm.
And add up 16 rooms of furniture. What does it cost for your average living room? What does it cost for your average bathroom? I was explaining to the sales team that I don't pull my samples out. We don't start debating if you like daisy white or linen white before I know if you're going to spend $1,000 a window on a duet shade. Like,
Yeah.
and they're just like, we wait, you won't even get your samples. I'm like, no. You won't take a measurement. I'm like, no. Like, well, how do you know what it's going to cost? I said, because I've done my homework and I can look at a window and I can ballpark it within $300 or $400. And I can look at you and say, based on everything we just talked about, I think this living room and dining room is going to come to 20K. And they were like, the thing that they had a problem with, which they got over, was, "Oh my god, you mean you will tell them it's, like, gonna be about $20,000 before you even show them samples, before you get them excited, before you show the thing?" I'm like, they're like, "What if, like, they don't like that number?" I'm like, "Don't I wanna know now?" The thing is, what I always tell everybody is, and we teach this in the 7-step class for both designers and window treatment professionals at Lu University, is if I'm looking around and I think it's gonna be 20K, I'm gonna say 25 to 30.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
what happens is, if I have to pick that person off the floor, thank God I didn't spend 20 years designing the floor plan or picking the window treatments, whatever it is, right? But if that person looks at me and says, huh, well, that's more than we wanted to spend. And I'll be like, well, what were you thinking? Now they'll answer you
Yeah.
because you've set a number. Well,
Yes.
we were thinking more like 20. Well, you see, I'm fine with 20. I'm fine with 20 because that's what I thought it was to begin with. And all I have to do to justify it is say, well, you know what? I haven't even taken a tape measure out. We haven't even looked at a sample. You know what? I think we're good. Let's take next steps. Let's see. And now I know mentally I'm not bringing out this level, I'm bringing out this level. I'm gonna get them into that $20,000 number. But if I
Mhm.
say 25 to 30 and they're like, "Oh my god, we were at Home Depot. When we priced it at Home Depot, it was $5,000." And I'm like, "Well, you better get back to that aisle and then start arguing with your partner on which blind to get and see who's gonna, drill it into the hall and hope it doesn't fall on your dog's head. See you,
Yeah.
bye."
Yeah, it's true, and you have to know the number, you have to get to that number in your head, and you have to say it confidently and
Mm,
not be wishy-washy about it and not make apologies for it. You have to stand behind what you say, or people are going to see that little crack in what
that's
you're
right.
saying, and I'm like, "Wait, what, why?" You know? So, I think if you do spend the time researching and knowing, and I try to go into projects on a consultation. First of all, already on the discovery call, we talk about that, but I go into the project also knowing past projects that we've had that were similar to that project.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it just allows you to say, "Oh, yeah, the Smiths project was this kitchen, and we removed this wall, and we did this, we added an island. That was, $250,000 for that project. How
Yep,
does that sound?" And then you can do that test that, okay, they're gonna fall on the floor, or they're like, "Okay, fine, let's move on." Then you
exactly.
have not wasted your time. But yeah, we all give our intellectual properties in the beginning of our careers. We just throw it all on the table. Here's every design. Here's everything that's going to be beautiful in your home without even knowing if that's what the client can even have to spend. They may not even have the money to spend it, much less want to spend it, right?
Exactly. Exactly
Yeah.
right, and then we get upset because, well, then the client, they just were having me out just to get my ideas.
Red flag, red
Yeah,
flag. I
yeah. Oh,
hate that
yeah.
so
My
bad because it's like,
god.
no, no, it's your red flag, honey. It's not the client's red flag.
Exactly.
It's your own red
Exactly.
flag.
Exactly. It's funny because there was a little pushback on having the conversation about money up front so bluntly, right? So and you
Mhm.
bluntly doesn't mean disrespectfully, without
Money's
tact.
neutral to
Right.
me. Money's neutral.
And I said, "Well, imagine you're a consumer. Like, do you want your time wasted either? Like, maybe you go into a car dealership and you think you're going in to find a $25,000 car, and you walk into a BMW dealership, and maybe the lowest model starts at 45K. But you start talking about, I've got 4 kids and I got to fit a stroller and everything else. And next thing you know, he puts you in the biggest SUV that they've got, and that one's 95,000. Oh my God, a sunroof would be amazing. And oh my God, I got to sing Taylor Swift with my daughter. We got to get the best system." And then all of a sudden, the guy's like, "You're driving around the block. You love it. Oh my God, this is great. How much is it? 95 guy. Oh my God, I had $20,000. Like, what? Like, you're not, I said to them, are you actually looking at that salesman and say, "Thank you for getting me so excited about a car that I don't have the means to drive in this
Nope.
decade. Tell me,
Yep.
hey, sweetie, our car start at 40. And here's what happens. If you walk into a car dealership and you say, I want to spend 20 and their car start at 40, when that person doesn't walk out, now you know their real budget, right? Because people say all the time, I want to spend 20, but I'll really go to 40. Like, oh, okay, our scars are start at 40. Oh, okay, well, show it to me. I'm a salesperson. I'm going to be like, well, you just told me your budget was 20. You got to
Yeah.
come back now and say, I can go to 40. Like,
Yeah.
however you're going to say it, because it's not going to be, nobody's ever going to talk to you that directly.
Right.
But, well, let me see. I can talk to my,
And we make those money conversations so hard, and we build up this scariness inside of us where it's like, oh God, I don't even want to say a number, even though it's a totally accurate number that you've done 5 other projects in that same manner, that it's going to be this amount of money. But we're like, oh, let's just tiptoe around it. Or we say, oh, my hourly rate is X, I'm charging 250 an hour. And then you never give them an estimate of the time that you think the project is going to take. And then the client's like, oh, but 250 an hour, it's probably like 10 hours to do the whole house, right? And you're
yes,
like, no. So I
right.
think that's the other like misstep that we make in our industry is like hooking the client on that hourly rate, 150, 100, whatever your hourly rate is. And then they're like
Not
totally
guesstimating
flabbergasted.
what it's gonna cost, exactly, and the thing is, if you're afraid to say the number in the beginning, wait, so it's easier after you've done all the work? You still have to say the darn number.
Hell no, it's not easier. No, it gets if you set the tone up front, as you said, and say, I'm straightforward. I'm going to be honest with you about what your investment's going to be. This is what the project is going to cost based upon other things that I've done before. Then you set the tone and you say, I'm going to tell you what the price is.
Yeah,
You can either accept it or not. That's your choice, but I'm going to be straightforward and honest with you and clear with you on what that's
yeah,
going to be. And I think that's just the basis of
yeah.
a good relationship in general, right?
And think about it. Like what I always say is keep remembering you're a consumer. So
Mhm.
think of another luxury experience. What if you walked into an art gallery, right? Maybe you're on
Yeah.
vacation and you walk into an art gallery and maybe you don't know anything about art. And maybe this happened on an IDS trip. I remember this happened on an IDS trip and we were getting off the boat. We had gone somewhere on a boat in Chicago and we were walking down this thing and I saw this amazing painting of a tiger. Now,
Uh-huh.
tiger's my spirit animal.
Yes.
And I was like, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god." But, like, I don't know if this is a $200 tiger or $20,000 tiger, right? And you walk in the gallery, and of course, there's no prices, right? But, I am old, and I'm Jersey, and I don't putz, right? So I just like the guy walks over, and he's all dressed up, all and he's like, "Oh, can I help you?" And I said, "Look, we can do this real easy. Just give me price point here. Like, are we looking at $1,000 pieces of art or $30,000 pieces of art?" And he's like, "Well, we're mostly in the, 30,000, but we do have some pieces are lower." And I'm like, "Okay, any chance that tiger's less than 5?" And he's like, "No." And I'm like, "You know what? It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. Have a great day." You know what I mean? Like I loved her, but I'm not that girl that spends 10K on a tiger.
But it's also the value that you place on something too. If that tiger was going to solve whatever
All my
problem that you have
problems?
been looking for 40 years and you're like,
Right.
"This will do it," then you would have paid whatever, right?
Oh, I totally could have spent $10,000 if I wanted to.
Yeah.
Could have. Your
Yeah.
point, the value isn't there. And what am I gonna do? Like, when a client is, like, not telling you their budget, right? Like, what if I was just like, "Oh, this is beautiful. Oh, let's look around and be ba ba what do you like?" "Well, I kinda like the like, an hour later, now after he talks to me for an hour, like, "Sweetie, you're never gonna spend that?" Right? But you know what? To the point, it's just let your client understand the value and the range of it,
Yeah.
and then you will gauge where to go from there
Yeah.
in an honest and respectful way beyond that,
Yeah.
right?
And it's
Yeah.
also knowing your client too. It's knowing what they will value. You get to know them better. You get to understand what they're going to say yes to. Because I can tell you, if you have some disease and this pill is going to cure that disease, you're going to pay whatever the money it takes
Oh,
to
yeah,
to
you're
get
gonna
that
borrow
pill,
from
right?
Peter to Paul.
And if you have this pain point in your house, you're like, yeah, I'll pay that for it.
Yep.
Absolutely. Whatever the cost is. So it's also just kind of that ebb and flow of
Yeah.
understanding what your client's emotional triggers are. But anyway, that was a whole conversation that we could probably talk for 4 hours about that. But as we're wrapping up, I have one more question question for you. If you were to have one wish for the future of the interior design industry, out of all of your interviews, out of all the people that you've spoken with, all the pain points that you've heard from designers, what would be a wish that you could say, I would wave my wand and have this happen for the betterment of the interior design industry? Is there something that you've
Oh,
encountered?
yeah, 100%. It's so clear to me. I wish that every talented interior designer would recognize the value of their talent.
Mm.
Like, just literally, you change all of our worlds, and you kinda know it, and you kinda say it, and when you're all together and you're feeling your feels, and you're like, "We make lives better, we impact people on a personal level," and I know that you know the words, but I want you to feel it in your soul. I want you to carry it every day and recognize that we need you to do what you do, just like we need, Aaron Judge to thrill us and hit home runs, and we need, scientists to cure cancer. Like, it is not fluff. It is a required, needed, beautiful, necessary thing. And if you as an industry would be non-negotiable on your value, I really believe all of us as an industry would benefit from it.
I could not have said that better myself. That is beautiful. And I know from you that it is heartfelt because I know you and I know that you feel that way. And I
Mhm.
know that you do want all interior designers to stand up and own their value. So that is just perfectly said. So thank
Yeah,
you,
you're
LuAnn,
welcome.
for
Thank
being
you.
on the other side of the microphone today and for just sharing your journey, the story that maybe people have heard, or maybe there's bits and pieces that they didn't know. But I know that every time I listen to you and every time someone else spends time with you, they do learn something new and just pick up on something that they didn't even know before, whether it's something tangible for their business or something inside of our hearts that we didn't even
Yeah.
know we needed to knock
Thank
on and open
you.
the door. So thank you for all that you do for our industry and for lifting us all up. You're fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you. I have to say, right back at you. I appreciate you. I just adore you. And I'm so glad that this industry brought you and I together. Thank you, John.
I agree. And I have my LuAnn Nigara green on today. So we are sisters in green. Big hug.
Thank you, John.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the McClain Method Podcast. I'm so grateful you made it all the way to the end because that tells me that you're ready to do the work that truly transforms your brand, your business, and your life. If you want more tools, trainings, and behind the scenes looks at what I'm building next, head over to McClainMethod.com and don't forget to follow along on Instagram at the McClain Method for even more drops of brilliance. And remember, my friend, your brilliance is your brand. Don't dim it, design it. I'll see you next time.